Good morning. I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here with Jim Kramer. We're joining you via Skype this morning and are part of doing social distancing. Jim, what's top of mind for you this morning?
Today's a day where science is trumping the bears. And I've been telling people over and over again who are negative, look, here's what you have against you. You have science. Otherwise, you got to run the table because, frankly, a depression is still in the cards if we don't get this economy open. And we just set back the time that the economy is going to be open. I think that was right. The scientists are determining it. But when you have J&J talking about a vaccine within a fairly short period of time, when you have Regeneron working what it's doing, Roche is doing things, when you have the dispersion of the medicines coming a little bit better from Cardinal Health and McKesson, and then when you have the Abbott 5-minute testing, Abbott on tonight, on Mad Money, suddenly you get a situation where if you're betting against the market, which has been a terrific bet until last Monday, then what happens is you're now betting against science. And tomorrow it won't be like that. Tomorrow there may not be as many breakthroughs, or maybe there won't be this the tremendous anti-malarial rush. And the anti-malarial, which the FDA is just going for, has very mixed. Other than Fox, which is totally behind it. You know, we have like a very weird media situation here where there's Fox and the rest of the media. Fox is very behind it. Fox is more powerful than the rest of the media because the president identifies with them. That's okay. It never seen anything like it, but it's what it is. But that the anti-malarial plus the stuff that Lilly's working on that we just talked to with David Ricks, plus the J&J possible vaccine, plus the Regeneron, these are all things that if we could get the personal protective equipment in, would make it so that there's a possibility that we could peak. And one of the things that I thought was most amazing was that David Ricks was talking about even having something for the advanced pneumonia that kills most people in hospitals. And that would be incredible because there's been nothing at all. So there's a lot of good news on the science side. And that makes you feel like, wait a second, if we can get the $2 trillion to last, then there's the possibility that we might not have a depression.
I want to focus on something that you tweeted and also that you basically just mentioned, which is we see all this good news around the vaccines, the testing and whatnot, but what do we need? We've seen this before. We've seen different versions of this headline. So what do we really need to see in order for Wall Street to rally on a vaccine headline, on a testing headline?
This is it. That's what you're seeing. Because I think most people felt that the futures would be down very big. But the fact is that there's a recognition that science fight back, and that maybe what's going to beat this thing isn't influxes of money and isn't bending the curve, because there's a lot of areas where the curve's not being bent well. What's going to solve it is maybe antivirals, get people out of the hospitals, maybe more ventilators, or they don't really have that much good on the ventilation side. But this is about not bending the curve. This is about science winning. And that the bending the curve is the thesis that has not carried a lot of water on Wall Street. And why? Because when you go and you look at pictures, as I did on Twitter, and you see beaches that are open, or you see people in crowds, and you just say, well, listen, there it is. I mean, I've been trying to I put a challenge to the cruise ships this morning on Twitter. And my challenge is very simple, which is that I think it's time for the CEO of Carnival to come on and explain why this boat should land here in our country. There's one that's about to go to Florida. Can we please get a line on how many cruises are still out there? Royal Norwegian, Carnival, I love all these CEOs. How many horror shows out there? If you want to return as a vacation method, speak up. Tell us how many cruises are still out there. Are you going to start up again in April, as they've been saying? I mean, look, this is a principal source, and now it's everywhere, and we know that. But I do think that if you're going to continue to have an influx of boats that are infested, well, we got to figure out when this ends. We don't know when it ends. So it's something that I'm deeply focused on, because hardly a day goes by where there isn't some boat trying to land somewhere with thousands of people. This one has 4 people who are dead on it. And I don't think any of us would tolerate this, but somehow it's being tolerated. These are not flagged under our country. All they are is vacations. They're not some sort of national imperative, but they have proven to be a major problem for our nation. And it's time for the CEOs to come out and say, "Listen, mea culpa. We're sorry. We didn't have plan. We didn't understand. Even when we realized what was going on, we didn't do anything." Carnival, Royal, and Norwegian will be finished as companies, even though Mickey Harrison, who owns Carnival, is giving a huge amount of money to the president. They'll be finished as companies if they don't come out and say, "Listen, this is what happened, but it's never going to happen again." They should stop hiding. They should come on air. They better not be vitriolic. There's no room for that. Apology is what's necessary, and then hope for the best for them. Otherwise, they're a menace.
Jim, we're now heading into the third week of many Americans being kept at home because of the coronavirus. If Americans haven't invested in safe havens, but they're looking to, is now the time, or is it just too late?
Well, it is too late until we get the next algorithmic sell-off because of oil. I mean, for instance, the action alerts, we own J&J. And I've been waiting for J&J to go up because J&J is doing well. Well, so today Alex Gorski talks about a vaccine that they will make absolutely nothing on. Nothing. And the stock is up 7 to 131, and I think we're up on it now. Well, I mean, no, you can't buy that because it's up 7 for no reason. And that's a dicey game. When you buy Amazon up 66 because you realize, wow, I bought a lot of stuff on Amazon, well, that's a silly game. You don't want to play that game. Google has a bunch of number cuts and it's up 23 on a recommendation. I don't want to do that. I mean, Apple, there were several number cuts and it's up 4. I don't want to do that. Abbott Labs is something we have on tonight. At one point, it was up 10. Now it's up 5. On something, maybe it makes some money on. What's moving right now, Microsoft up 8. What's moving right now are the things that will go down 8 if oil breaks 20. So remember, it's all algorithmic. These gains are unnatural. They're dysfunctional. They're not what you want to see. I know there used to be a lot of people on Twitter said, Jim, you only complain about when it's down. Now I only complain about when it's up, because when it's up, it attracts people. In a bear market, it makes people excited. And I don't want that. That's bad. So I've been trying very, very hard to discourage people from buying on up days.
Let's talk about you, Jim. As I've just said, it's week 3 for many Americans staying at home. Of course, we know that you're going into the studio every day, and I want to check in on your social distancing. How are you doing? How's the world, since a lot of us are still at home? How's everything going?
I find it pretty depressing. My day starts with either a text or a FaceTime with my daughter in Madrid, who can't go out. Third week. It's truly become wearing on her. She's a teacher, teaches English in Madrid. Then I check in with my daughter, who's supposed to be trying to finish her Parsons degree for fashion and business. She lives in the village. They can't seem to get it today. Classes start again, but it's to this part of her course is sewing. And so obviously sewing doesn't really work with Zoom. My wife is in Quag, Long Island, with Will and Charlotte, my stepson and daughter, and they're able to enjoy themselves a little more. Me, I stay home. I studied all day yesterday. I didn't see anybody. I have no contact other than through online. I studied the companies that I care about today. I studied Abbott. I studied Cloudflare. And just try to get a line on what's going on with oil, try to get a line on what's going on with the companies that are stay-at-home. On Saturday, I was trying to get into a series, Outlier, Outsider didn't work. Almost finished The Institute. But the next book that I'm reading is Barbarossa, which is about the invasion of Russia by the Germans. And then after that, I got trying to get some more Stephen King, but it was there's no sports. I watched the president's press conference. I was deeply disappointed. because he had a guest of mine on Friday from Owens and Minor, and the guest said that, look, it's hard to keep up when a hospital orders 200,000, it's been ordering 20,000 masks, and the president immediately felt that that meant that the hospital was hoarding them or doing something else with them he mentioned that was perhaps criminal, and that was a complete lack of understanding of what the fellow from Owens Minor was saying, which is that the system's being overwhelmed by mask orders. I was happy to see that Dr. Fauci prevailed on when the economy is going to open. Managed to talk the president out of the April 12th deadline. But these are hard days, and they're just hard days. I mean, I don't talk to anybody. I don't see anybody. A box comes, I leave it outside for 2 days, and I just read a lot about COVID. And then I came to work and worried about the drivers. The driver, does he have it? I wore a mask to work. Does this go on for months? Does it go on for months? And if it goes on for months, I'm going to have to redo my routine because it's just too depressing.
Well, Jim, I hope that you're staying safe.
Well, I'm staying safe, but not mentally, just staying safe physically.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's one thing that we all need to be cautious about is the mental factor of this, because it really does weigh on you more so than you would have thought. I mean, not being able to simply give a hug can weigh on you, and having to talk to everyone virtually is not the same.
I mean, I had a cocktail with my wife on Saturday. We clinked, and she was drinking her rosé champagne, and I had some Sombra mezcal, which was just okay. But then it was over. And then she watched a marathon Harry Potter. I did more work. And then I read The Institute, the Stephen King book, which I find him very engrossing. And then the next thing I know, it's Monday. And I said, what the hell? It's Monday. And and then I'm here, and I get here at 6:15, get my coffee, my bagel, study for my 9 o'clock show. Then study for this, and then write a piece after this for Real Money, and write another piece for Real Money, and then go home, and the whole thing starts again. And the biggest thing that happens is maybe I get my dry clean delivered.
Based on all the studying that you've been doing, Jim, what's the one thing that you're looking at this week?
That is WEAK, or is that WEK? That I'm looking at this week?
Yeah, that you're watching in the markets this week.
Okay. What I'm watching in the markets is the bifurcation that I've been waiting for. I've been saying that we're going to have either depression or recession, but it's going to go be bad. In that period, what you get is not a market that goes down. You get a bifurcated market between the companies that are vulnerable, typically the financials and the industrials, and companies that aren't vulnerable, which are healthcare and consumer packaged goods. And today that's happening. Today we're getting that, and it's good to see, because then it means that you can make money. When it's not like this and it's just all algorithm, it's very, very hard to make money. We only have one really bad stock today, which is Tyson, which has just turned out to be a disaster because they poorly managed it and we bought. And I feel badly about that, but it's just been terrible. And even Viacom's up today, which is really incredible given how bad that is. That leaves Citi, which is a bank, and I don't want to get rid of it, but I may have to, because Citi is just doing so bad. The stock, not the bank. And I find that what's happened is that at least, when Disney, very negative note about Disney and theme parks and sports. Okay, so Disney goes down, but not down enough to want to recommend. JP Morgan goes up $1. I don't know why. That'll probably be down a couple bucks by the end of the day. I'm watching oil. Rusty Brazil put out a fantastic piece this weekend about losers and big losers in the oil patch, and what happens if oil goes to 510. Very important. And I'm looking at situations where I think that they're not stable. I don't think Yum's stable up $1. That doesn't seem right to me. Kimberly being up 2 makes sense. Uber's only fractionally off. I think that should be off much more. Lulu coming back. CVX up $1. Chevron up $1 is ridiculous. I would just short Chevron.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for all of your insight today and always. Guys, we are, of course, taking more questions over on Twitter. You can tweet at us at TheStreet or at by Catherine Ross. Action Alerts Plus members, please continue to email in your questions to the team. I'm Catherine Ross. We will see you tomorrow. Please come on over with us to Action Alerts Plus for our daily rundown show over on actionalertsplus.com.